The Walking Dead Season 5 finale Conquer. This episode was like just 90 minutes of weird with people doing some of the craziest stuff we've seen them do, or really all season. Like for some of these characters, I mean, for Rick, he definitely had his moment in the last episode. But I mean, we had like really early on too. We had Sasha like kind of losing it even more so. Like she's kind of gotten over her like excessive aggro mode where she's just in like insane Hulk rage all the time, and we get like this weird somber mode out of her where she like just lays down with all these dead zombies, or you know officially dead zombies, I guess. And we have like Father Gabriel, who's just like off in Space Mountain apparently, because he's going out. He's like, I'm ready. And I wasn't sure what to expect with this character. I was like, I don't know if he's ready to, like, it seemed like initially he was ready to die. That's why he was there. And then, of course, he wussed out. He freaked out and was like, I don't want to die. And then it kind of seemed like maybe he wasn't ready to die, but maybe he was finally ready to take part in this zombie world. Like, he was ready to take part in actually working to kill these zombies and doing something other than running away from them. But it was just the fact that he's kind of in this state of mind where he's ready to die. He's ready to go. He was officially ready to just throw away everything and die. And then when it came time, for that to happen, he freaked out. And, that's normal, but it's just like he's in this really odd state of mind. And then he's, in Space Mountain, and then he goes back to Alexandria. And the guy asks him, like, can you lock up? He's like, sure. And he just slams the gate behind him and just walks off like nothing's happening. And then he's freaking out, with Sasha in the room, and he's like, your brother is the one who deserves to be here because he was the one who's kind of lived with his sins. I believe that's what he said. It's like, he deserved to be here, not you. And then they're fighting and they almost kill each other, and it's like, I don't know what's about to happen here. They've got a gun, and then, one bullet went off, and I was like, if one goes off, especially with it being an assault rifle, a ton could go off, and who knows could get hit, out of this crazy battle, and I wasn't sure what to expect out of that either. And so, like, they're going crazy. We have Glenn almost dying in this episode. He gets shot, almost eaten by zombies, and, I believe the guy's name was, like, Nicholas or something like that, and, of course, I kind of wanted that guy to get killed off, because it was like, I just hate his character so much, but Glenn stays as Glenn, which I thought was a great moment. It was like they had that sort of scene towards the end where everyone's kind of talking about Rick and how he is, and then they kind of have these two parallels going on at the exact same time for members within his group who have also dealt with crazy stuff just like Rick has. And, Glenn, being in, I believe, starting from the very first episode. So both these characters, Glenn and Sasha, have gone through stuff, and it's like they seem to be going towards these moments where they're kind of hitting the point where, that they're talking about with Rick right now. And I thought that was actually really cool, and we got to see Glenn really stay as Glenn. He went through this traumatic experience losing Noah right in front of him, and it's because this guy wouldn't, just listen to him so that they could, all get out of there. And he has the chance to take this guy out. The guy was obviously going to leave him to die. He shoots him in the arm. When the zombies come, he just leaves him to go. But Glenn stayed as Glenn. Glenn, let him live, and he's taking him back to Alexandria, and he's still a good guy. And who knows what would have happened with Sasha if Maggie hadn't shown up. But she was definitely there to calm her down. It's like, hey, this doesn't need to happen. And they actually had a really cool scene with the three of them where all this time, with Father Gabriel, it's like, he's, Father Gabriel, he's the one that other people can go to, but he's the one who really has all this grief inside, who needs, spiritual counseling and stuff like that. And I thought it was just a good moment where he kind of realized these people aren't bad. Like, I've made terrible decisions just like they have, and he's kind of projecting his crappiness onto other people more than, anything else. And he finally realized it at the end where he wants to die, and Maggie is the reason that he's not dead. And so they kind of just sit and they pray, and they're going to kind of focus on things and kind of sit through this stuff and, figure out the issues that they have going on. And I thought it was just a great scene. And I don't really know if it makes me, really like his character anymore any less at this point. He's still kind of the guy who is just like, they don't deserve to be here and stuff. And he's still really the same character who kind of ran away from big issues. I don't think he should have just killed himself, because that's not something you should just go out and do because you're racked with guilt, you should kind of fight through it and, get stronger and kind of deal with the fact that you did something really, really bad and that you just have to move on and become, a better person, which is him, being, Father Gabriel. That should kind of be his mindset to begin with, but he might kind of be moving into that now, like now that he's finally had this big interaction with other people after being alone for so long. He finally has this, chance to sit down and kind of regroup, his own mind, and I think that'll be interesting for the next season. So I'm excited to see how that stuff, kind of comes together for his character, and even with Sasha, because it seems like they both hit their boiling points, and Sasha kind of getting past all this rage and stuff, she finally got to the point where she's just somber, and that's where Father Gabriel was as well. So it seems like they both reached the same sort of somber point where they both want to die in the same episode at the same time, and of course they're the ones who end up confronting each other, and it's like they feel that they want to, but at the same time they don't really want that either. So I thought it was a nice balance for their characters, and like I said with Glenn, and that was something that I feel like they really focused on this season. It was it was kind of here and there, and you kind of have to remember it to think about it. But we had a lot of different moments with Glenn where it's like we really get to see his character kind of branch out in this season, where it's like, does he become something different? Does he become really more like Rick and decide, nothing matters, we have to do what we have to do to survive, we have to kill these people, or we have to steal this or do that in order to make it? And every time, like in the first episode of this season when they were escaping Terminus, he wants to help some of the people in the cage, and there was like the crazy guy with like tattoos and all that stuff, and that kind of didn't go well because that guy was insane. They have, when they lost Beth, that was kind of when Glenn changed a little. It was like, it doesn't really matter what happened or what's gonna happen. We, it just sucked. Things are bad. We just have to do what we have to do, and it doesn't matter who else we hurt as long as we protect our own. And then he kind of went back to his normal self, where he realized like it does matter and things, things make a difference. And we really got to see that in this episode where he kind of let out all that frustration of really losing the first person he ever lost. And it wasn't like, oh, they died here or there. They died like right in front of them, and he saw Noah kind of get ripped apart. So it was great to see him deal out this frustration, but also in the end he was still Glenn. He was still the guy who decides, I don't want to take things that far. No matter how angry I am, I want to kind of let it all out through my fists rather than, with a bullet in someone's head. So it was definitely great to see that. We got to see Morgan come back. He was, in the opening scene as well, and he was like the crazy blind samurai in the beginning and stuff with like the giant bow staff, the stick that he had. And he beat up the two guys who are like officially the wolves, like they officially call themselves that. But he beats them up, and unfortunately, him letting them live is gonna lead to the wolves attacking Alexandria, because now they have the pictures and everything of Alexandria, and of course that comes from them kind of having their outing where they're following the guy in red, who I'm still not 100% sure what was happening in the ending scene, like why they killed him. If the whole point of that was to be a trap to capture other humans, it's not as if it failed. I mean, I guess they knew it failed because they saw that, they escaped. They could just look in and see that the car was empty. And I guess that's why they did that. They figured, whether people got trapped in there or not, they made it out, so you failed, and that's why they killed the guy. But, he gets killed off. They have the crazy trap with all the zombies and the trucks and everything. And what I thought was going to happen when they initially went to, like, the factory is that, like, Daryl saw that, they showed, like, one of the trucks had a lock on it, and then Daryl saw that another one didn't. What I thought was happening with that is that he was going to say, like, hey, he's probably in here, or he would have been in there asleep or waiting for them to open it up or something. And then it completely changed where it's just like, boom, here's like 80 zombies coming at them. So I was really surprised by that. Of course, I think everyone was on the same, in the same mindset when Morgan showed up at the last minute, when they were like, we're going to go on like a blaze of glory type of, moment. So it was great for Morgan to come in there. And him being the character that he is now is very, very interesting because he's like this oddly spiritual person where he won't kill anyone. Like he easily could have killed those two guys that he beat up. He could have, left them out in the open instead of putting them in the car and honking the horn to save him some time. He could have left that wide open, just left the doors open and then honked the horn so that they would have been killed. And even says it like when he meets with Daryl, it's like, he saved them because every life is precious to him, or every life is precious now. And we get that final scene, or the scene before the credits at least, where we get Rick kind of getting the final approval to be hardcore Rick, I guess, and he kills the guy. And right after that happens, that's when Morgan shows up, and it's like Rick, and he's obviously just covered in blood. You have Morgan, who's like completely clean. Like in the opening of the episode, he's just got like a coffee pot and just making coffee and stuff. And by the end of the episode, it's like they come face to face again after, I believe it's been 2 seasons, or maybe he was in the last season. I can't really remember, but like they come face to face after all this time, and it's like they've gone through so much stuff, like with Terminus and everyone being split up with the governor, the second time, and all this crazy stuff that happened, and he's in this totally different state than he was back then. He was still getting further and further towards like a crazy Rick, and oddly enough, he was even crazier in the last one. But in this one, it was just that he kind of caught him in that moment where he tells everyone like, "Hey, Rick catches the zombies after Gabriel just walks away being crazy." He brings them there to the meeting, and it's like, "Hey, this is what happens. You kind of need us. I'm not, trying to do anything bad. I want to help you people. I want us all to survive." And then, the woman's husband is all crazy. He kills the older guy, which really sucked. I figured that was going to happen. I thought he was just going to do it on purpose because he has a freaking katana. It's just straight out. I thought he was just going to flat out stab him and then try to kill Rick anyway, but he accidentally, slits his throat and stuff, and that was kind of it. It's like, kill this guy, and that was done. And then, that final little moment, we just see the guy who's like the total opposite of Rick at this point. Like, every life is precious. I'm not going to kill the guy who tried to hold me up, or, his friend who tried to like chop my head off and stuff to steal my coffee. Every life is precious. And then I see like the first guy I help save just blow this guy's brains out, who's being, being held down by somebody else too. So he has like no defense or anything like that. And he gets killed, and then it's just like, this is the guy I helped save, over a year ago. I think it's like a year, maybe 2 years in the series. And it's like, this is that guy now. And just blood on his face. He just shot a guy right in the head. And that's it. So I thought it was a great way to end the episode. I thought, everything that happened was just crazy. Because it was like, they had like so many scenes where I'm like, I don't know what's about to happen. Like I was just kept thinking like they cannot kill off yet another person. Even with Father Gabriel, when he wanted to die, I was like, they can't just kill off another person. Like, I know we're in Alexandria and they're like 20 new characters, but it's like, dang, they're just killing off everybody. And I was really cautious, especially with Glenn, because it's just everything with him being shot and some other stuff. And it was just like, I don't know what's going to happen with that. Obviously, the zombie part, and it's like they cut away from that, and then it went. Because that scene was during the day, and then it was nighttime. I'm like, I don't know what's going to happen. I'm assuming he survived and all this stuff. But it was really intense for a lot of different scenes. Like, I don't know what Glenn's going to do. Is Glenn going to survive? Is he going to kill this guy? Sasha and Gabriel are fighting. Who's going to survive out of them? Is Sasha going to kill Gabriel now that she's won the fight? All this crazy stuff. The stuff in the car, like, are they gonna go out in a blaze of glory where one survives and the other dies? All this other stuff, and it was just a great season finale. I'm really excited for season 6 and where we're going with the wolves and them attacking the city, I guess the city slash town, and exactly what's gonna happen now that Rick has convinced everyone, like, hey, without us, you will be killed. Like, we have to do certain things in order to survive, whether we're in here or out there. It's all the same. And he says, like, they're gonna get in here, and so will living people, because we're already in here, and that's what they want. And Whether it's the dead who just want to eat other people, they'll come in, or whether it's the living who want something new to take as their own, they'll come in. So it was a nice speech, and him, looking all crazy with the blood and everything. It was just a great ending, and we had sort of the extra credit scene at the end with Michonne when she was putting the katana back up, and she kind of realizes, like, I can't put this down. And that was also a great scene that came out of the comic books, which I definitely enjoyed that. And it's like, she realized all this crazy stuff that's happening, she has to keep it. Like, aside from the fact that her putting it up there is kind of what led to basically two deaths at the end of this episode, it's just the simple fact that she has to go back to being what she was before. She can't just forget, the past, which she was kind of trying to do in these past couple episodes. And, it'll definitely be something to see them come back in the next season, and how much time they, kind of choose to skip over. It could end up being like the next day in the next season or anything, but I'm excited for it. Something else that was sort of minor, but not really minor. We finally got to see Abraham and Eugene sort of talk out their differences, and I love Rosita for doing what she did, and she's like, oops, and she knocks over the pan and stuff. So I like that moment where they finally got to talk things out, and Abraham realizes Eugene, he explained himself, and he's kind of over being knocked out and almost being killed. And it was really Abraham who had more of an issue than Eugene did. It's like, he admitted, like, I screwed up, but I knew, I needed protection. I had a plan. I knew you needed a plan as well. So that's kind of where the plan came from. So I enjoyed it. I thought that was a nice little moment to kind of bring those two back together as well. And it was just really good. It was like a small little moment that honestly hadn't been on my mind too much, but when we got in the episode, it was like, it's cool that we have that now. They won't have too many issues when, much bigger problems come down the line with the wolves trying to attack Alexandria. So I think it was a great season finale. Overall, I definitely enjoyed this season. It was an incredibly sad season. I mean, we lost 4 characters, 3 of which have been in the show for over a season. And, like, it was just hard to go through all those different episodes, losing all these characters left and right. And, yeah, like, that really did suck. Like, it sucked losing all these characters, even with Noah, who was, basically brand new. Still a great character. I still loved his character. It sucked to see him go. Admittedly, I said this in my review then, I feel like he had the most impactful death out of anyone, and I don't know if it was just the gore of it or the fact that there was just like so much hopelessness in that one scene where it's like, it wasn't just like in the heat of the moment they got surrounded or anything. It was the fact that they were there for maybe 5 minutes trying to figure out how to survive, and they had this time to think up a plan and everything. And in the end, it just came down to the fact that one guy cared more about himself than anything else, and he freaked out and didn't trust the people that he was with, and he left them to die, just like he left his friend, not even 10 minutes before that. So, I love this season. Sucked that we lost so many characters in one season. That definitely probably makes it one of the craziest seasons so far, just because of that. If not the craziest season, because we lost so many people. Especially in such close proximity. It wasn't like we lost people like every couple episodes. We had the mid-season finale, we lost someone, and then the mid-season premiere, we lost the next person. And, just losing people over and over again in such a short amount of time was definitely crazy. But I love this season. I'm excited for where things are going as far as sort of just craziness with the wolves and how many people are really going to be out there. We've only seen 2. But obviously there are way more than just 2 wolves, carving W's into all these zombies. And, it kind of makes me wonder now if some of these people with the W's carved in their heads were wolves, or if, they are just all zombies. I have to assume some are zombies where they just carve the W's for whatever idiotic reason they feel the need to do that. But I think some of those people probably were actually a part of the wolves, and they just, got killed or whatever. And obviously some of these people are just like totally insane. Like, they chop up the limbs of people, and they hang people to trees to get eaten. They were the first set of zombies we saw with the W's where they had like no limbs. It was just torsos in a truck. Like, they take the time to do some really crazy stuff. So I don't know what we're gonna see out of them in the next season. Um, with them doing all the crazy hacking up of bodies, it makes me instantly go back to Terminus and cannibalism. But at the same time, it's a bunch of zombies. They didn't do that, and you know, just to eat all these people arms and legs and stuff. And then we obviously saw body parts cut up. I think it was in the last episode at a little campfire. So they don't do that to eat these people. They do that because they're like insane. So I don't know what to expect out of them as far as a group of enemies, but it's definitely going to be something crazy to see, and we're going to end up losing somebody else next season too. But definitely a great season finale, of course. I want to know what you guys thought about it, so please comment below. Let me know your favorite parts, your least favorite parts, and of course, I want to know what you guys thought about not only the season 5 finale, but the season in general. Was it a good season for you? Was it a bad season? It was definitely a sad season. Like, I don't think anyone's going to argue that point with losing 4 characters, but it was. I definitely enjoyed it myself. I'm also incredibly excited for the spin-off, which we got like a little glimpse of, which is Fear the Walking Dead, and that starts in the very beginning of things, like even before stuff actually gets crazy. And I heard that it's gonna go by the time that ends in the fall when season 6 starts up. It's basically gonna go through all of the time, and it's gonna be going concurrently with The Walking Dead. So I think that's gonna be pretty cool. There's currently, based on a little information that I've heard, they don't plan on doing like any crossovers for Fear the Walking Dead and The Walking Dead. It's just gonna be they run at the same time. Um, it seemed like it was Atlanta. It could be somewhere different because that's kind of where it started, is in Atlanta. So it might be somewhere near there or something like that, or it could be something, just like on the other side of the country. Who knows? It could, depending on where those characters end up going. But I'm excited for that. What are your thoughts on that? Like, what little information we have right now? Are you guys interested in watching a spinoff show? Do you guys care or not care? What do you want to see about that too? So please comment below, let me know, and thanks for watching.